A brand new edition of ACC Baseball Etc., presented as always by our friends at Pitch Logic, the system used by players, coaches, scouts, and instructors at all levels of play, from youth leagues to the big leagues. The easy to use and affordable technology makes the platform accessible to every player at every level. All the metrics and features used at the highest level. You can go to pitchlogic.com for more information. I'm Daron Vaught. No Danny Graves today. He's still tending to his son plays hockey and got slashed on the hand pretty hard. So they're dealing with a fracture or something. So anyways, he had an appointment with young Peter today. But we've got a special guest with me, so don't fret. It is, as promised the last time we spoke to you, Seaver King of Wake Forest. Seaver, good to see you, man. How are things?
Good. Thank you guys for having me.
I am fascinated by your journey, as I'm sure those who have come to learn about it, the jump from D2 to D1, et cetera, are. Can I start with that? The transferring from Division 2 to Division 1, and there's a lot of layers to that, right? So let me start by asking this. When you came out of high school and had decided that you were going to go play at Division 2 Wingate, they had just won a national championship, first in the school's history. So it's a big deal, right? Like, and I know being in North Carolina, the kind of baseball program it is. So none of this is sort of to downplay that or Division 2 baseball as a whole. Did you even suspect that the transfer to Division 1 was going to be a possibility? Like your first day on campus at Wingate, would that have been in the back of your mind even?
No, not at all. I committed to Wingate before my senior year, so they hadn't even played their season yet. I didn't really know kind of what it was, and then I, got to follow them throughout their run while, my season ended as well. But no, definitely stepping on campus. I was, committed to be there for 4 years, kind of be the normal college baseball player, play 4 years and, go get a job. And then, just kind of just so happened to get on the field my freshman year and then, kind of lead my team as a sophomore. And then after that, it kind of was, a personal decision to kind of want to fulfill my dream to go play Division 1 baseball. And that's kind of how that kind of went.
Was there a point at which something clicked or I mean, as with most things, right? It's like a small step by small step, a gradual thing. Is there a point, like a point of demarcation in your mind where it became, okay, I just graduated, for lack of a better way to put it, from guy who had planned on playing 4 years of college baseball, forget D2 or whatever the distinction, 4 years of college baseball and then going to get a job, from that to, okay, now I've got a real shot to do some things, including, maybe transfer to a top Division 1 program, get drafted, et cetera, play pro ball to begin with. Was there a point at which that, like, you kind of felt that happen?
I think my sophomore fall, I got a contract for the Cape, and that was kind of the first kind of big, playing with the best players. That's kind of when I knew, that's really when I have to prove myself and I can hang. And then, I think just knowing I was going to go up there for the summer kind of maybe clicked it a little bit. And then just being able to, produce my sophomore year as well and not really take a hiccup and kind of just keep going where I kind of left off for my freshman year kind of was, maybe there was a click, but there wasn't really like an aha moment, I would say.
Yeah. In addition to the Cape that summer, I saw you with Team USA, and we'll get into that. What was the biggest difference or differences, or what have been the biggest differences between being a Division 2 baseball player and being a Division 1 baseball player?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're playing the game, so there's not the game side is not too much different, I would say, but the pregame preparation stuff is kind of what I noticed to be the most different. I usually at Wingate I would just show up and play and kind of look at the scout report, what does he throw, and let's go. And now it's we got counts and percentages and what does he want to do, what's his plan to kind of counteract his plan. So I would say the preparation side has been a lot different, and obviously practice has been different as well. The way we go about practice is a lot different. Also, travel schedules, all those things. We leave the day before the series. I'm used to, driving up on Friday, staying the night, playing 2 Saturday, and going home. And that was kind of how it was. And now, we get there on a Thursday and then leave on Sunday. So just kind of the little things are a little bit different. But at the end of the day, we're playing baseball, and I don't really kind of look at it any different.
Yeah. I'm curious about like the scouting reports. You're talking about very specific data that you now have access to that you didn't necessarily before. How's that addition gone for you? Because like you said, it's show and go is not the term, but you were playing a much more intuitive brand of baseball personally prior to having all that information and the scouts that are so specific to opposing pitchers now. That's a lot to process, right? And especially for somebody who did really well by not thinking that much about it and just sort of trusting your instincts and playing before. What's adding all of that info to your approach been like?
Yeah, I think the biggest one for me is the video, just kind of being able to see what's going on, what shapes are he's throwing, kind of thing. And then kind of after that, it's I like to swing a lot. I don't really like to walk, so we kind of have a jug kind of stat. So like, if I swing and miss at a pitch, what's the likelihood I get the same pitch? So that's kind of one of the biggest things I look at because I know I'm going to chase. I try to embrace that part. So I mean, there's countless times where I've hit a home run after swinging at a ball that bounced 3 feet because I know I'm getting it again, kind of thing. I don't really do it on purpose, but in the back of my head, I remember, okay, it's probably coming again, and just kind of be ready for it. So yeah, it just kind of helps me with the plan because I kind of now have plans when I go up to the box, like these are the counts he's heater, and then if somebody's on base, these are the counts he's probably going to spin me. Just kind of have an idea there and just be ready to hit a mistake, and that's kind of how I go about it.
Can I talk about emotion while playing? You're obviously kind of subdued and chilled out right now, given the setting. I caught some of the Clemson series over the weekend, and you had a big hit in that. And Cole Rowland's emotions are never going to be outdone, but you were testing it. like yeah. you were right there with him, pounding your chest and just sort of like roaring to the dugout. I love that part of your personality and your game and how it comes out in big moments, because I've seen it elsewhere, even in games that I've called at Wake and other places too. What goes into that? This might be an impossible question to answer, but does that make sense? I mean, some guys are way more stoic and they make a big play and they're not as expressive. What makes you so expressive in those moments?
Man, I don't know. I think, I'm a loud person when I get on the field. I'm always, screaming, kind of letting the guys, hear me, kind of thing. And then I think, in that moment, it was just, I had hit the ball to, Hinderleiter 3 times that game, and he's made 3 backhand plays. And I was like, all right, I just got to get one run. If I do it again, like the run's in, like we're cool. And I just so happened to get it through, and the go ahead in the bottom of the 8th. I didn't realize it was the bottom of the 8th until I got to second base, to be honest. And then I was like, well, I mean, I kind of just did that thing. And then, coming back into the dugout after Winay, followed it with a big hit as well. I definitely blacked out. I think, I was, after I got done celebrating, I was sitting on the bench trying to catch my breath. I think my heart was at like 180 for a couple, 10 minutes. And then Roland comes on the mound, and I'm still trying to catch my breath. And he's, punching me and hitting me, letting his energy go too. So, after that game, I definitely had to, go to sleep right away or do something. I don't even remember what I did, but I was definitely blacked out for, after that hit to, when I go into bed that night, it was kind of a blur.
And if I could pull back the scope on that question, just to sort of as a follow-up, I don't want to get you sort of like thinking too much about it if that's not what you're trying to do. But does your journey have anything to do with that emotion? Do you think something somewhere along the lines? I mean, you gotta be super grateful for the opportunity that you've gotten to play on stages like that and to put up big performances in clutch moments like that. Is there something along the line, like, were you always this expressive and just sort of like doing the pounding the chest and the growling? Where does that happen, right? Because I think confidence has got to be part of it too.
Yeah, I think, coming, throughout my journey, I've always had a chip on my shoulder, especially, starting this summer. I always knew there was gonna be eyes on me, kind of when is he gonna mess up, when is he gonna slip up. And it just makes it that much sweeter when you come in the moments and everybody's got their eyes on you and you're celebrating your team. You're not really celebrating yourself. You're celebrating, Wake Forest baseball. And that's kind of what I try to do every single day is, celebrate my teammates, celebrate their successes as well as mine. And I think that's just when emotion comes out. When they hits a big hit and we're up three in the ninth inning, it's and then we have Roland coming in. It's not many. We think we kind of have that game in the bag, and you just got to get the crowd into it, especially at home. The crowds we had this weekend were awesome, and not ever really playing in these type of environments just kind of I think have fed it a little bit. And maybe I don't think I've never blacked out like I did this weekend. I'll tell you that. But I've always been somewhat of an energy guy. But I think the crowds and the atmosphere we've been playing in have definitely fed into it.
I love that mindset and sort of treating it like you're not celebrating yourself, right? You're celebrating the team, and that speaks to, again, when you do these things most of the time, you're squarely looking at your team's dugout, so that makes sense, right? You're celebrating with them as opposed to by yourself out on second base after a big double or wherever it may be. Something that jumped out to me over the summer watching you with Team USA, your defensive versatility. And I mean, you've played 4 positions now with Wake Forest this year. Started the year out in center field, moved into the infield. Merritt gets hurt. You're playing shortstop and making some great plays. Is that something you take pride in? Just sort of being you're not necessarily an infielder. You're not necessarily an outfielder. You're just a baseball player.
I mean, I think so. My goal coming into the year was just play every day, just kind of mix and match, play where I can to help the team win, and kind of put our best lineup out on the field. And being able to move around has definitely made it easier for Coach Walter to make a lineup, mess with the lineup, kind of figure out what our lineup wants to be, because our lineup has gone through a lot of changes throughout the year, and I think we found something now. So I don't necessarily think it's something that I thought would happen coming here. But it's something I embrace, and I'm always ready to hop around the field and do whatever to help my team win. So
you mentioned Coach Walter and sort of the roller coaster nature of the season. What's the messaging been like throughout? Because I imagine it's been fairly consistent, knowing him and the rest of the coaching staff. You guys came in as preseason number 1. That went away relatively quickly into your season, and now you guys are sort of peaking at the right time, it feels like, and you are who we thought you were, to put it in a certain way. Yeah. What's the messaging from the coaching staff and just like amongst you and your teammates been like all year?
Yeah, I think our team is awesome. We love playing around each other, and we obviously knew that the start we had was not the best, but we always talked about you don't want to be the best in February, you want to be the best in June, and that's kind of how we went about it. And then Walt was saying the same things where we're not playing our best baseball, but we're still winning baseball games. And whenever we do, have that click aha moment and we start playing well, everybody's going to be on notice, and it's going to be tough for nobody's going to want to play us. And I think honestly, I don't think we're there yet. I think we're definitely getting there. I mean, this weekend was a really good step. But just we got to stack it. We kind of try to stack small victories and celebrate the little things. And when we go to NC State and play a big road series, we haven't really won. I guess besides Virginia Tech, we haven't really won a big road series yet. So to cap off this regular season with a big road series win will be really good for us, and help us get that momentum going into the postseason.
Yeah. Let's circle back to the Team USA experience. We talked before we started here that I was on the trip to Charleston with you guys and was just like around for the summer. So I got a pretty good idea of the type of group that it was. It seemed like a very lighthearted, fun group that was appreciative of the opportunity. And, I'm thinking about like the July 4th game and Charlie gets the big hit, Charlie Condon of Georgia. And next thing you know, he's having maybe the best season in college baseball history. I mean, gone bananas. What was that experience like for you, and how did it sort of prime you for what was to come in your first season at the Division I level?
Yeah, I mean, I learned so much from the summer, just from kind of being around them and just kind of how they go about their business off the field, as well as the pregame preparation part too, as well. I hung out with Charlie and JJ Weatherholt a lot, and Griff O'Farrell. Just kind of got to pick their brains a little bit because I was new to the Division One game, and just kind of see how they go about it as being the top players in the country, and then being able to just develop relationships. Getting to play all these teams and seeing the guys that played this summer and just being able to talk about whatever. And then, being able to see Charlie and be like, after our games, oh, we hit 34, like, we probably saw this coming kind of thing. So just the relationships we built, this summer were awesome. And just kind of what I learned from them were kind of what I took away from it.
You mentioned that distinct handful. Are you like in any group texts with any, sets of those guys that you guys keep up with each other through the season?
No, we just have the big, USA group chat. And, I think anytime you see somebody, like, you just send a video, like you're at Virginia and we're in a rain delay and I'm sending a video of Jay and Griff across the dugout. They're playing whatever game. And then I think Brady Montgomery and Charlie were in a hotel room together. And then, we kind of have a couple inside jokes and stuff like that. So it pops up every now and then, but it's kind of there's not really a group. It's just kind of the whole team.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. What stood out about the international component of that? I always love getting the perspective of guys who are playing, Japan for the first time, or Chinese Taipei in your case. For others I've talked to, it's been Cuba or whoever, right? You guys did the series that included the games in Charleston with Japan. And I'm always fascinated. If I can, I'll sort of tell like a quick example story. Spencer Torkelson, when he was on the collegiate national team, he and I talked one time about he was holding a runner from Cuba, Jordanis Simone, I think was his name, at first base. And it was this sort of thing where after the fact, Spencer told me, he was like, oh, no. He was speaking Spanish. I don't really know Spanish. But they were doing this thing with, some pickoff moves where they were kind of like playing some jokes on each other. And Torque would like hang on to it and fake a throw and like see if Jordanis would jump. And they kind of laughed about it. And it struck me as baseball is this universal language that even, you don't have to speak Japanese to have a connection with one of those other guys, because you're there for the same reason in a lot of ways that they are, because you love baseball and you love playing baseball. So what was the experience like for you playing against Chinese Taipei and Japan?
Yeah, playing against Japan was crazy. The way they go about it, you see videos on how, like, they take all the fundamentals serious, and they pound them into, each guy. And I think you really do see that on the field. I think, they maybe I don't think they broke one bat the whole entire 5 games. I think if I'm remembering correctly, maybe made one error as a team in 5 games. Like, you had to play your best baseball to beat them. They weren't going to be flashy or, make anything crazy, but they were going to do the little things right and move guys over and play the simple, old school game of baseball, which was kind of crazy, looking against our lineup. We got Jack and Charlie and JJ and all these guys, and then we're playing a team that, is going to bunt, no outs, 1 out, and then just get a 2-out hit. It was kind of crazy. So yeah, I mean, it was definitely a different perspective to see kind of that, the way our game's moving is one way baseball can be played, and then you can also go back, 20 years and play the game of baseball the same way, and it's still going to work. So I think that was something that I really took away from it.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of your teammates. You've got some great ones. What is the most impressive thing, pitching wise, baseball wise, life wise, any category you want to go to? What's the most impressive thing about Chase Burns?
I think it's the way that he'll, on Friday night you'll see him, and then Saturday and Sunday the Chase Burns you get is crazy, because he'll be locked in, and on Friday and, get his win and, be recovering. And then you kind of just don't really see much of him. You kind of, whatever you saw on the field is what you got from him. And then Saturday comes around and he's like the most cracking jokes, like the best teammate, just screaming at you, just like, and you're like, weren't you on? Did you just strike out 16 yesterday? Like, what are you doing, kind of thing? And so it's really. I mean, he's awesome. Just kind of the way he goes about it, and it makes everybody. He makes everybody feel him. I guess you can say. And just he's just a really good teammate, and it's just crazy. I'm always like, I can't wait to see Chase Burns pack it in this weekend after he throws, and it's just because it's funny. If you could be in there with us, you would enjoy it too. So
yeah. When was the last time you faced him in like live play? I mean, once the season gets started, that doesn't happen a lot, right?
no, it was definitely preseason. I think I'm 1 for 3 with a double and 2 strikeouts. I think something like that. Got his number when he threw it. He hung a slider one time, but other than that, it definitely was. It was something to face.
I love that you're keeping score still.
Yeah, have to.
Let me ask the same thing about Nick Kurtz, and maybe some of this is a little more relatable to you as a hitter and a position player. What impresses you most about Kurtz?
Yeah, I think we're really different players, I would say. He's really patient and able to take walks and do all those things, which is hard for him to be able to, be
Yeah,
like,
he
okay,
walks
I'm
a
going to
lot,
swing the
man. You
bat.
said earlier you don't like to walk, so
Yeah. Well, it's hard for him to pull the trigger sometimes because he's getting pitched around 4 or 5 pitch walks, and then all of a sudden it's a big game situation. Now he's got to pull the string. So it's really his mindset and his preparation has really, he had a rough start to the season, and then and then just kind of out of nowhere turned it on, and kind of found these things that helped him, do it. And just kind of seeing how he was as a person throughout the whole thing didn't change at all. It was the same Kurtz no matter what. If he was, hitting 200, if he's hitting 330 and leading the team with 20 home runs as well now. So just kind of the way, the professionalism he went about it with kind of is the thing that stuck out to me the most.
Who's somebody, those two get a lot of attention, obviously. Who's somebody on this team that maybe it doesn't feel like they get as much of it? And I know you guys try to block out a lot of the noise. So, maybe it's not a totally fair question to ask, but I mean, right. Chase and Nick get a lot of attention. They're going to be first rounders. And who's somebody who's big and important for this team that maybe gets overlooked because of those two and even yourself?
Yeah, I think it's an easy answer. I think it's Merrick Houston. He was he was going to be our leadoff guy the whole year, and then nobody really knew what you were going to get from him from last year, and he has really stepped up and hasn't taken a step back in the infield and has really taken probably 3, 4, 5 steps forward in the box, and has been a really good leadoff guy for us. And I think he doesn't really get enough credit as he is. Looking at this, guys getting invites and stuff for Team USA. I'm waiting for Merrick to get his because he deserves it, and he's a really good player. And I think at the beginning of the year, I had high expectations for him. Just playing with him and just seeing how much he developed and his mindset has developed as well. I think he's being a leadoff guy and being different from last year's Tommy Hawk guy. Kind of the way they go about it, and Merrick's he's awesome, and he's a good player and shows with emotion, and when he's going, we're going, kind of thing. So I would say Merrick for sure.
Describe the couch for me when you guys get going. I was talking to somebody the other day about ACC baseball and baseball in the state of North Carolina and the many good programs and sort of the elevated play of those programs. And I mentioned to this person, I'm like, yeah, but it's like, it's old, but it's also new because, Wake Forest has a national championship. It was decades ago, but in recent years, the program has elevated itself to a point where that home venue environment is awesome. And you guys have lifted yourselves back into a situation where you're thinking about, or you're not thinking about it. People like me are thinking about it and talking about you guys hosting, giving yourselves another chance to play games there. When it's rocking, describe the couch for me.
Yeah. I think, you look at the capacity is what, 4,000 people. You don't think it'll get that loud, but we got, there's our family section is awesome. I would say, you get Kurtz's family, up and going, the Telliers, and then the Kurt. I mean, they're right behind our dugout, and they feed us energy as well. And then we got this guy that sits right behind home plate and leads the Wake Forest chant and the Let's Go Deeks chant, and it's just kind of he gets everybody rocking. So it's something I've never experienced, given I haven't really played in any big stadiums yet, I guess you could say. But when the couch is packed, it's surreal for sure. And when Walt's walking out to the mound, and we're like, why is he coming out here when Burns is on the mound, and we're waving him off, and now it's just like you can't even hear yourself think. They're going so crazy. And you kind of know Burns is going to go and get the out. So yeah, I mean, I would love to be able to play on the couch again, and hopefully that's kind of what we're working for, and hope to see them regional time. So
now you get me thinking about the family section. Who were the MVPs of the family section? You mentioned the Kurtzes. I talked about Cole Rowland's emotion earlier. I don't know if his family regulars at games, but if they do, I got to imagine they're borderline psychotic like he is. That's got to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Kurtzes, his brothers get into it. The Telliers, his mom and his sister and his girlfriend get into it as well. My mom is always loud. I mean, it's just everybody, but it just so happens to be right behind our dugout, which is kind of where, you're just looking always at our dugout, and you look up and you see, your parents or whatever. So it's a combination of both. They've kind of all kind of figured out their spots, and you kind of know where everybody is, and you know what everybody's saying. So
it's a team of sorts, just like you guys are trying to figure out roles. They're figuring out their roles too.
Absolutely.
Tell me about your mother. We just had Mother's Day this past weekend. I know she's a very special person to you in your journey in your life. What's her impact been on your baseball life to this point?
Yeah, I think that's really where the chip on the shoulder came from. Is all the sacrifices she's made for me and being able to put me in spots to be able to play when maybe I probably couldn't have been. I just want to be able to repay her and just be able to not take anything for granted, and just be able to let her, because she loves watching me play, and just let her be able to watch me for as long as possible. And get to take her on adventures, because we love traveling. I think when I was in middle school and in high school, we'd always take a Mother's Day trip and just go to, I think it was, we went to Houston, we went to Chicago, we went somewhere, and just to go explore, just travel. And being able to have her, be able to come to Raleigh and Notre Dame and Boston, and just be able to have her with me and be able to explore these places, not only on the baseball side, but just being able to have her just be able to travel as well, has been really huge for me. So yeah, I think she's the one that keeps me going, and I'm super thankful for her.
And she's, correct me if I'm wrong, she's at, if not every game, most games, right?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she comes to I mean, she came at Wingate. It was almost every game too. She wouldn't miss it for the world. And now she's come to every weekend series I can think of, and just kind of puts my face on the door and says I'm playing, and just goes. So that's kind of how it goes.
You mean like her office door? Is that
Yeah.
She doesn't need an out of office email response, right? She just posts your face and people know what's going on.
Yeah.
That's so great. Yeah. That's so great. Well, Seaver, I really appreciate the time. I've really enjoyed getting to know your game and watch you throughout your journey in this season with the Deeks. And obviously, best of luck this coming weekend, finishing up the ACC schedule. We'll see you guys in Charlotte for the ACC championship as well. Best of luck the rest of the way, man. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.